What up, world? My name is Timothy De Jesus.
Hi everyone, Aldrich here.
Hello folks, it's Kevin Kwok here.
Hi, this is Jeremy C. I just wanted to say this about bottoms-up perspectives. It's about real lives, real journeys, and real perspectives.
The whole idea behind bottoms-up perspective was from the word kampai, or in Asian culture, oftentimes we drink until the bottom of our cup is empty and we turn it over. So it's very much like just cheers, right? And building relationship. And that's what we're all about, is building authentic, solid relationships on a global level and being able to see things from a global perspective.
And no, we're not Alcoholics Anonymous.
We are here to be the voice of everyone.
I love the idea that we're real people and we get to share our experiences with real people just like you.
So we look forward to having you join us. Hey, what's going on, LinkedIn and YouTube? So we're on episode 27, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Yep,
bad.
and we're going to talk about, hey, where are we heading? Where are we going? Right? So we have our special guest today. So let's start with Dana. Let's let her introduce herself, and we utilize her platform for this live stream. So StreamYard is what makes this all possible. So introduce yourself and what you do at StreamYard.
Yeah, sure. So first off, thanks for having me on the show. I think it's so much fun to, I do a lot of interviews, but it's so fun when they're on StreamYard specifically, because I get to talk about the platform, but then all your audience just gets a sense of what StreamYard actually is. So StreamYard is kind of the behind the scenes tool to live videos. So you can add guests, you can share your screen, you can share images, you can play videos like you played in the beginning, which I love the part that you were like, it isn't an Alcoholics Anonymous. I think that's so funny. But we should be drinking because it's social happy hour. Hey, David, thanks for tuning in. But I'm Dana Bentz. I'm head of marketing at StreamYard, and my job is social media, marketing. Hey, Kelsey, thanks for tuning in. And we're live on, so StreamYard lets you multi-stream. We're live on YouTube and LinkedIn, right, Kevin?
Correct. You're right.
Yeah. So then StreamYard lets you show those comments on screen, and you can multi-stream to all your social media platforms. So it's just a really great way to grow your brand.
Yeah, and we love it. And I think StreamYard really just kind of simplifies the whole effort, right? I think back in the days, if you ever want to do a live show, it requires like a production team. And at J29, we're a digital marketing agency. And yes, we have a production team, but during the pandemic, it was so hard to have my camera crew and everyone to do the switching. And so we were just searching for a tool to go live on, right? And we came across StreamYard, and we actually hop ships. We went from another brand to you guys. I won't mention any names, but StreamYard was so simple. It was just more like you click here and click here. You don't need to have too much technology. Like right now, I'm running this show all by myself, right? Yeah. So it's nice.
Not bad.
So
your show really looks like you have a production team behind the scenes. Like, who came up with that intro video? That looked great.
Well, we do have a production team to do the intro and the graphic design part, but they aren't having to do the switching screens, making sure everyone hop on. So that's nice too. So
that makes sense.
I mean, look at it this way. This is 27 episodes. We've never had any technical glitch where StreamYard is concerned. The only technical problems we have is usually with our own microphones and our internet lines.
I know that happens a lot, but the nice thing is most people have their mics working, their cameras working, because we're on Zoom all day or we're on Google Meets all day for work. So it's pretty easy. Normally, there's not too many technical difficulties, but I know what you mean that can get in the way.
Yeah.
So I want to go ahead and start with our first question tonight, right? So what has changed for you since this pandemic? So we usually go round table, so we'll let whoever go first. And why don't we start with our guests?
Cool.
Yeah.
What has changed for you since this pandemic? Oh, that's a big question. Okay. So I think I'll start with what's changed at StreamYard. And of course, as soon as everyone went into lockdown, live streaming just like it just blew up. Like it just became a thing that people started doing. It became a household name. Like people knew what live streaming was, and it was a pretty big industry before the pandemic. But as soon as we were in lockdown, it was like everyone had more time on their hands, and they were trying to figure out how to connect with their users, with their customers, with their clients, with their friends, with their families. And so live streaming became that for people. And so StreamYard just skyrocketed with that. So I think there was a 2-week period where we almost doubled in size as a business, as a company. And we weren't small before the pandemic, right? So that 2-week period was just like crazy growth. And I like breathe so heavy when I think of that, because we were like working 24/7 back in March and April. But luckily our team had built our dev team had built the product to be stable enough to scale with that amount of users. But our team definitely grew. So what's changed since the pandemic is our user base has grown. Our team we've hired quite a few people, both on the engineering side and just in customer support, customer success, customer relations side. So I'd say the biggest thing professionally that's changed since the pandemic is StreamYard has just become a household name almost.
That is awesome.
It is.
Awesome.
I have to say that. Ever since Singapore went into our own version of lockdown, which we call a circuit breaker. Well, I guess our minister is from an engineering background, right? Circuit breaker. So ever since circuit breaker kicked in,
I think it sounds better than lockdown.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. But
It's marketing.
Yeah, right.
Ever since we went into circuit breaker, I think almost instantly StreamYard became synonymous with live streams, and the prowess of the platform goes beyond marketing outreach. I think there's also a lot of campaigns that's being run, which during this period, campaigns, marketing and advertising seems to be merged into like one overall concept. So I would believe that it has experienced exponential growth in terms of outreach, platform usage, and possibly top line. I think that would be apt to actually say that.
Wow. That's very neat.
So people are utilizing it out in Singapore as well, Eldrick?
Of course.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, that's
Like
awesome.
Jeremy and myself, although we may not have the license to actually stream using StreamYard, but there's a lot of Singaporeans that are freelancers, individual consultants. They hop on platforms. So they ask for invitations. And for some of the lucky few, they do actually use StreamYard to do their shows. I think for Singapore, it's like once a week or twice a week is actually pretty regular.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's usually, I would say, Singapore evening, which is the US morning.
Okay.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow, it's so neat to hear that like Singapore's using StreamYard. That's so neat. It's so neat to hear all of the different places people are using StreamYard. And then what's really fun is when we all come together and do one stream where I'm on the West Coast of the United States and you're in Singapore, and it's Thursday for you and it's Wednesday for me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
it is.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
What about you, Tim? What has changed for you since the pandemic?
Well, kind of along the lines of what Dana was saying, video was a big change for me because, prior to that, posting on LinkedIn, it was text only. And when the pandemic hit, people started encouraging me to do video, and I started getting into video more. And now I'm doing video a couple times a week on LinkedIn and other places, TikTok, YouTube, all these places. So that was something that changed drastically, and I think I'm thankful for it because I feel like I'm positioned well for the future, doing more video versus just doing plain text posts. Because I think the patterns I'm seeing even on LinkedIn is more people are interacting with video more and more and less with text.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
It's more engaging.
Yeah.
Yep. What about you, Jeremy? Love to hear.
Well, I guess for me, most people are working, will have to be getting used to working from home. So it's for me, it's 50-50. I can't say I enjoy working from home, but at the same time, I can't say I enjoy working from the office only because I have to commute for about an hour and a half one way on my usual day in the past. Yeah, despite it's a small island, I don't drive, so I take the public transport. So I think the main challenge for most people working from home is they feel that they work longer hours, and I have no idea why. Of late, because a lot of the lockdown has been eased, when I meet friends, I'll ask them, "Hey, do you feel that working from home you work longer hours?" Then I ask them why, but nobody seemed to be able to come with an answer, which is quite interesting, right? So for me, yeah, I don't understand, right? So for me, it has always, because I report to the team in the US. So I've always been quite used to doing night calls, that kind of thing. So I sort of stretch my whole day, work around the clock kind of thing. But I think there is something that is much better now because of the pandemic, and because we use things like StreamYard and collaboration tools, video tools like that. I actually do get to see my US colleagues more often now, my Europe colleagues as well, because of how this whole pandemic worked. Right, in the past, you probably only see them when you are in that country like once a year, right, for a major sales kickoff or something. And usually you do conf calls. You're not comfortable. It's not the norm to be on video, right? People think you're a narcissist or something if you go on video, and everyone is on voice, right? But now it's kind of like the norm, and there is some upside to it. So really for me, what has changed? Longer working hours. I don't know why. Despite not having to commute, working from home is good, but it's not good at the same time. Only because there are a lot more distractions at home. Kids. Sometimes it's hard to not chip in the housework when the wife asks you. So you have to drop your stuff and do what you have to do, and then come back to work, and then you have to switch around. So a lot of that. So good and bad. I say it's a mixed bag. But it is something we all have to get used to now.
Yeah, I think. So true. Like for me, I think it's the whole idea of I had an office, for almost 6 years, like an agency setting. And now we've gone 100% remote since July. So awesome. Just that change was huge. And all of a sudden, as a business owner, I'm seeing like, what were we doing? Why were we paying so much rent? And, because our team is already digital. We have people in different places already. And it was like, I saw an opportunity as soon as, back in the days, it was so hard to get customers to understand to like, hey, let's hop on a Zoom call. No, we prefer flying out to your conference room. And now it's like, please, we don't want to come to you. Can we just hop on a Zoom call? So, and it's great for a business owner because now I'm saving on travel, paying my employees expense to eat and when they're traveling. And they love it because it saves them time to be home, with their, family and kids. And I'm loving it because I didn't know how much time I was spending commuting and just being away from my family, right? So I have a 5-year-old and a 8-year-old. So just seeing how fast they're growing up and not having the ability, like I would probably get off work at 7 and then I drive home and it's like another hour, right? So by the time I get home, usually they ate dinner and I just put them to bed, right? And now I'm getting to enjoy, like I can hop back into my home office and work after I put them in bed. But now I get to eat dinner with them. I get to take my lunch break with them, maybe throw a ball or take a walk. And it's a life changer because that 30-minute walk would have been my commute,
Right.
So And you start
so
seeing
great.
like the things that are valuable too, because I'm seeing so many people just on LinkedIn, right? Seeing people quitting their full-time job and just deciding to, hey, start something up, like becoming an entrepreneur. And because after working from home, they're like, we don't want to go back and we want to keep doing it. And they become consultants, coaches, and doing their own thing. So it's kind of interesting.
It's totally given us all like time to think or time to reflect on what's important. And I think like I've seen the same thing, Kevin, where so many people, they're like starting to follow their dreams or like starting the company they've always wanted to start, which I mean, that's so inspiring. But there's also like, there's two sides of it. Like there's some people that are just like their business can't go online and now it's just struggling so hard and they have to innovate or they have to change their career to be in something that can be digital. But for the people who are already online, like it sounds like your digital agency was already online. You just had an office in person. You know, so for you, it was really easy to make the switch, and now all your clients made the switch with you. But I feel like there's like two sides. It's like the people who were already online, they're now just flourishing, but the people who weren't or who can't be or who it's a lot harder to get online for them in their industry, those are the people who the pandemic's like really hurt.
Yeah. And since you're in marketing, Dana, I think it's interesting to see too that all of a sudden, like marketing, people care. Used to, marketing was the first thing that people cut whenever an like when the economy goes bad. They're like, okay, let's fire the marketing staff. Let's get rid of the contractors. But I think a lot of people, we're becoming more valuable in a way. And even if like big corporations cut you, there's room because small businesses need marketing people to help them pivot. So what I'm seeing is they might have left their corporate job, but now these marketers are becoming independent contractors and they're thriving.
Yep.
They're doing even better than working for, the company. It's crazy. You know?
That's because marketing now is so important because there's this unique opportunity where everyone's online. Like everyone is online. We're forced to work the whole day online and then we go online to watch TV and then we're like hanging out with our friends online. So it's like this unique marketing opportunity that I think the smart ones are taking advantage of, and they're turning into consultants or digital marketers or whatever you want to call that industry or that sector. But yeah, marketing's never been more important than it is now. It's just kind of like this perfect perfect piece of the marketing pie. Because now traditional marketing doesn't matter. Now it's got to be online. Now it's got to be email. Now it's got to be whatever digital marketing can be. That's what it's got to be.
Yep.
It's crazy because, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No, go ahead, Tim.
But, digital marketing is now more important than ever because more and more people are cutting cords when it comes to cable and products like that. So TV is not as relevant as it used to be. And that means, being in front of people on social media and, platforms like that, being where their phone is, not necessarily where their TV is now where you need to get to. Because TV is no longer the medium necessarily to advertise. Yes, if you can advertise during Super Bowl, of course. You can advertise during, football games and things like that where people are going to be watching TV. But everyday TV viewership is going down. And, people are doing services like Sling and, Google TV and things like that. So you still don't have your traditional cable ad budget like you used to.
Right.
So true. So I want to, my next question is, how are you guys keeping your sanity? So for a lot of people, I mean, digital is great. Doing everything online is great. But now, some of us are practicing social distancing. And I'm sure globally, we've seen a shift. It's almost like COVID has disappeared completely.
I don't know about that.
So
no, I'm not too sure about that too. But okay.
I don't think that's happening, but there is that where there are people that act like it's gone. So how are you keeping sanity for those of us that are practicing social distancing?
Well, I'll answer. Yeah, I'm still very much practicing social distancing because, not for nothing, everybody's life, including mine, is worth saving, right? So masks, 6 feet, being cautious. I still practice that. That being said, how do I maintain sanity? Well, your close friends and things like that. I've tried to get together with them. Now there was a period of time where I didn't see them for 3 months, but I've recently started seeing close friends. You're not going out and just hanging out at bars and stuff and doing things like that. But going to, like, last Sunday, I went for the first Sunday of the football season. I went and saw my two best friends, and we still practiced a version of social distancing, more hugging and things like that. But it was good to see them in person after a very long time. And I think, that was a good measure of, like, not necessarily back to the way things were, but at least getting that feeling, that camaraderie, that closeness that we all experienced and we all miss to some degree. But yeah, no, I mean, obviously the pandemic is still very real and COVID is here. And
Yep.
I'm not one of those people who thinks it's gone and disappeared. But yeah, no, I think.
Thank goodness.
I think that's how I maintain sanity. It was very good to just get out and have that little level of camaraderie with people.
Yeah.
Indeed, it is. Maybe I'll go next.
Sounds good.
Do I look sane to you guys?
You look insane out of all of us.
If I don't,
You maintain consistency, Jeremy.
you sound sane.
Because I think somewhere down the line, some bolts and screw might have dropped off. But I don't know. Really, I think, like, similar to Tim, I think I have picked up a lot more and much earlier meeting friends, really just to keep the human touch. Because we know, right, after the lockdown, we really desire that, contact, human touch. And I'm quite a people's person. I get a lot of energy from other people. Left by myself is just very demoralizing. I don't like that feeling of being alone in front of the computer. In fact, I enjoy a lot of going to the office to work in the past because of lunchtime, having lunch with colleagues, we can gossip, chit chat. So a lot of this taken away from me. So that's not so good. But I do recall early part of the pandemic, earlier in March or something, I read an article, I can't remember from where, somebody sent it to me. He actually wrote a concept whereby, that uncomfortable feeling that you are feeling is actually, you're sort of like unknowingly mourning the death of the old normal. So it's all right to feel uncomfortable because something that you're very familiar with, which you may not recognize, is gone and probably gone for good. We all know by now that things are no longer going to be normal. The new normal is going to be normal. Things are not going back to old normal, although I still hope that they can. So I think as soon as we acknowledge that, just like the 5 stages of death, you need to have acceptance first. No, first one is denial, right? I can't remember the sequence of the steps, but there's one step whereby you have to accept that it's not coming back. I think once you accept that, it probably is a little bit more to swallow. In fact, in the initial part of the lockdowns and all, I was petrified, because I work in the retail sector on the technology side of things, and we know retail stores are been hit so badly. So there was this conscious worry that I might lose my job. I'm the sole breadwinner. If I lose my job, what's going to happen? Because it has happened before, and I didn't really do very well back then. Almost didn't survive that entire episode of unemployment. I won't go into that detail, but it was very, very scary. And apart from your fear of losing your job, people are dying everywhere, right? It just seemed like things are out of control. Although I think now different countries, Singapore as well, are getting better grips with the pandemic. It still remains to be seen what's going to happen next. And everyone is sort of talking about waiting for the vaccine, right? But here's the interesting thing. Imagine if you have a vaccine today and you take that vaccine, right? It doesn't do anything to you, because other than protecting you from the disease, from the virus, it doesn't do anything for you because the rest of the world is still on social distancing, lockdown, flights are not taking anywhere. So if even though you are impervious from the virus, you don't get any sort of benefit let's say, per se, in terms of reverting back to old normal, right? Even if everybody has it, you still need for the government side to unlock all the air travel before things get to normal. And imagine that it's going to take a long time for the whole world to start together again on the same footing. Everyone's vaccinated, and this thing goes into the past. My point being, just accept that this is the way it's going to be. Mourn for as long as you want, but at some point, accept it, and then look forward and be positive. Look forward to what we have now. Appreciate the people around you. That's how sort of I keep saying, and definitely, talking to you guys help keep me sane once a week at least.
Aww,
that's awesome.
That's so sweet.
That's great.
Thank you. Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I really like Jeremy what you said about it feels like you really show gratitude for the people around you, or for the people that are close to you, or for the things that matter. And I think that's really, the being in lockdown has helped us all have time to do that, and now we're like forced to stay home with our loved ones and look on the bright side of things. And so I think that's one thing that has helped me keep a little sane. I don't know if I am sane, but another thing that's helped me is trying to take care of myself. Like I like to quote that. Just self-care, as like an industry. But I've really tried to improve my self-care because I feel like that's one way that's one thing I have control over when it feels like the world's out of control and when it feels like COVID's out of control. Like self-care, like painting my nails, or like doing my hair, or like taking time putting on my makeup, or not going to the gym, but going to my home gym and working out in the basement. Those are things that like they help my body stay sane, but it's also a mental thing for me that just it like grounds me, and it just keeps me going. It keeps me waking up the next day and going to work. So I think that's been my best thing keeping me sane.
Awesome.
What about Superman?
No, I'm not a Superman. I can't do what he does. I think when it comes to sanity, probably more on the mental perspective. I think these days I try not to spend too much time on news. It's important to keep ahead and stay abreast of current affairs. But these days, I think they carry a negative vibe to it, which kind of double down on the emotions, given the restrictions that we have, physical restrictions, right? So I know that for this question, we've been talking about COVID, but there are other big topics around that deserve some form of attention. But the way it's being brought forth has been pretty dark in terms of messaging, like where Dana, where you are, West Coast now, there's a huge forest fire and things like that. That like California is in besiege, right? That's worthy of news, definitely, but it got drowned by a series of headlines, which is really just elevator analysis, right? The number of people getting infected with COVID, the number that's died, and all these numbers going up and down. And then, naturally, for Tim and myself, we look at the global macro for financial markets. It doesn't look too good, but for some reason, there's a dissection between what we see versus what's on the ground, and there's all this alphabet soup of economic recovery, right? There's a V-shaped recovery, U-shape, a W-shape. I think the most funny one was O-shape, which means that we are going all around and we are going all around. There's an L-shape, which means that we have collapsed and we are not going anywhere. And the most recent one is a K-shape, right? So the wealthy getting wealthier and the poor getting poorer.
Oh my God.
I'm like, okay, these are great. These are great perspectives, but if we start if I start spending more than 10 minutes just consuming news, it's like, okay, I get the point. So these days, for me to just to keep myself going and productive on a day-to-day level, I try not to spend too much time on news anymore. I really do. Then that's one part, and the other one is on, I think, more extreme type of opinions that's being dished out on social media. I get that. I mean, like sentiments, right? Because when you're frustrated, people tend to do things slightly out of character and on the edge. But after a while, it gets a little tiring too. So as I unplug. So I think that's how I think about mental sanity. To Jeremy's point on work and working longer hours, I don't know if that's a good thing or that's a bad thing, because if a few steps after bed brings you to the office and brings me to where the power button is on the laptop, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. We probably miss that mindless scrolling on our phone as we commute and things like that. But I would say that some things will go away for sure. In the line of work that I do, where it's actually a crossbreed between physical and digital products, I think once businesses start to invest huge sums in terms of their capex to conversion to digital products, going back to a physical form, like Kevin, having a physical office, paying rental, all these becomes real discussions. Yep. If we don't understand this, I implore all of you to speak to your CFO. It's gonna be a very difficult conversation, because they're like, no, oh, this is not a good deal. We're not gonna do this. So I think that's how I think about sanity these days. I think we need to learn how to unplug from news. Really, otherwise it's like, like the whole world is coming down, and Elon Musk is gonna bring Martians to Earth, right?
Oh my
and
gosh.
So let's not.
I feel like Elon Musk is taking up my entire Twitter sometimes when I'm
yes. It's Elon Musk and Trump.
right.
Well,
right.
I'll say this. I mean, Aldrich didn't say it directly, but I'll say it. If you want to maintain sanity, stay off Facebook. There you go.
There you go.
No.
You read
Come
me.
on,
You read me.
My Facebook's awesome, right, guys? Just read my feed.
Yeah, for me, like I felt like I had sanity the whole time. So I've been kind of I would call lockdown, being home, social distancing, probably since March, right? And I had my sanity because I'm kind of an introvert. So for me, it's almost like finally I got a vacation after the last 6 years of trying to be an entrepreneur because I work so much. And then all of a sudden I was telling my wife, I was like, this is a vacation for me. That's awesome. Until they started having my kids do school from home.
Learn from home.
Oh no. Oh no.
This week. And all of a sudden, I was like, get me back to the office. It's like, this is sanity. I was like, this is crazy. I was like, how do you get little 6-year-olds? Now it's like, okay, I am doing StreamYard and Zoom all the time.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
And I'm like
gosh.
trying to get my kids to do calls. I'm like, sit still. And I hear my Jennifer like, because we're both like business-minded type people, so we're always working. So like, we're both like, how do you expect a 6-year-old or a 5-year-old to navigate a Chromebook and get on classes during these scheduled slots of time
On Zoom.
Yeah,
Like,
so
what?
like, so my kids have missed classes, and then like to tell the teacher, it's like, we're so sorry, we just missed our 12 o'clock. Oh, we missed the 3 too. We're like, we must be like horrible parents.
Oh no.
And then they're all screaming, Dad, I don't want to be on. And then one of them would get, he's naked. And I'm like, you got to put on your pants. Everyone can see you in class. It's like, this is insane. I was like, this is impossible. And then I'm juggling like conference meetings with my business stuff, and I'm like, okay,
no.
let me go put my son's pants on. Or I'm yelling at my wife, hey, can you have him be quiet? You know? And I was like, this is insane. I was like, when is COVID over with? You know?
Yikes.
And so that's interesting because I think, you know, as the tools are getting better, right? But there is still that human element that is required. And I think with the teachers too, it's all new. So I think that's another thing that's going to change in the future is education.
Oh, yeah.
What does education look like? Because if they can figure out how to do it online successfully, why would we spend millions of dollars on education in a building?
Yeah.
And
you know,
it's crazy to think about, you know, because all these tools like StreamYard, you guys are getting better.
Thank you.
You know, it's improving.
I'll tell you why. You just answered your own question, right? Because the parents are not equipped to handle kids doing it at home. That's why you're going to keep spending millions.
That's true.
That's serious. Like,
that is true.
You know, Kevin, that's a good thought about education because I've always been talking about this with my wife. Because in Singapore, there's this famous saying by one of our ministers that every school is a good school. We know that's not true. Right? We know that's not true because you know the problem with school in Singapore is that they're like prestigious schools, and because you live near it in a prestigious district, you know, then you get your kids to good school, and by virtue of that, you know, your kids get associated with the richer kids and, you know, network and all that. So, you know, the rich getting richer, that kind of thing. So to dispel all that, the minister actually came out and said, you know, every school is a good school, and he or she still keeps saying that these days, and that can be true. That can be true with things like StreamYard and this kind of teaching and streaming. Because imagine this, right? If all schools was back to home, all the kids are learning from home, they get the best teacher in the country of each subject to do a live stream to teach the curriculum. Then you have a standardized teaching, right? Everyone is receiving the same form of teaching from the same teacher, right? And then it will be true. All schools are good schools. And then you won't have that disparate, different levels of teaching, different commitments by teacher, different teaching styles. It's just one source, the best teacher, right? And then you get that uniform way of receiving the information. You do the same worksheets, etc. Then you'll really be able to sift out, you know, the good students from the bad ones, right? And I think that will be the game changer for education. I don't know, just me thinking aloud here. And you're right. Why do we need to go to schools now? But then again, we still appreciate. We have this deep appreciation of teachers and schools now after what we learned from, you know, our children learning from home.
But
so I don't know who's going to win that.
Yeah, but I think it's also the whole challenge of interaction, right? Because technically my son doesn't get to know kids, because he even said the same thing. He was like, I was like, oh, did you meet your new friends? He goes, they mute me.
Oh my god. Is that the new form of cyberbullying?
So he said, no, he said the teacher has us muted. So he said they can't hear me. So they only unmute them to answer questions. So technically, there's no interaction between the kids. It's all controlled by the teacher. Yeah. So it's like, oh, they can't play with each other. So that changes everything. Right?
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard when they're younger. And I think another thing is like, that makes sense having the best person in the world, Jeremy, to like teach the class, but then you have no relationship with that teacher. So there's also there's like the kids' relationship with the other kids, making friends, but then there's the relationship with the teacher that you can or cannot have.
So we got a question from the audience here. What was the most dramatic marketing change made at StreamYard this year, Dana?
The most dramatic. That's a really good question. Let me think. The most dramatic.
Marketing change.
It has to be a private and confidential type of change.
Yeah, right? That's only seen on this show, right?
Yeah.
She's going to be like, oh, we threw out our marketing department.
Right? We did a complete overhaul. What was the most dramatic marketing change? You know, we didn't change much. So we kind of doubled down on things we were already doing. I think one thing was we started one new live stream show, actually. So our founders go live every single week. But then we started a new show that's called StreamYard Spotlight, which spotlights members in the community, kind of like you guys. We could have you on the show, just users of StreamYard. So we started that show. And then we had another show that was kind of once in a while. That's called StreamYard Connect, where that show's kind of about marketing, and how users are marketing their brands, how they're building their brands. But we really doubled down on our live streaming marketing channel, not only just because not just because we're a live stream company, but also because the town hall that the founders do of StreamYard was so successful. And so into the pandemic, once we saw all these users using StreamYard, and we thought that town hall live stream was so successful in growing people finding out about StreamYard, putting the name StreamYard everywhere, as many places as we could. We thought live streaming was the best, easiest way to do that. Easiest, because StreamYard's so easy to use. But yeah, I don't think we made any dramatic changes. Like, I love the question because I love drama. My sister's in theater, and so she's been dealing with all of Broadway, who's decided to come on StreamYard and live stream their Broadway shows, which has been that's been really a neat change to see. But I wish we had something fancier, something more dramatic, but we really just doubled down on what was working for our marketing.
That's awesome.
So since the year is not over yet, and you haven't had anything dramatic, so we'll take your offer on going onto your stream users, and we'll make that dramatic.
Yeah, we'll get
There we go.
Timothy's gonna DJ for us. Jeremy's gonna karaoke.
Oh my God, it'll be a party.
Yeah, we'll be
Eldrick give us some history of money.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Oh my gosh, yeah. I'd love to have you on that show. That'd be great.
Awesome.
So the next question kind of pertains to what we're talking about. You said you double down on streaming. Where do you see the future of media, all of you guys?
Okay, I can start if you don't mind.
Go for it.
So, when I think of media, the term makes me think of like television and celebrities. Like, celebrities are in the media, and also like news articles of famous people or what have you. Oh, hey, Beauty Bubble. Thanks for tuning in. I know she uses StreamYard. So that's what I think about when I think about media. But since we keep talking about this lockdown, because that's where we all are, all of those media channels or all of those types of media have, like, they're all at home. Like, now celebrities are all at home live streaming from their living room and doing pre-recorded videos from their bedroom sometimes. And now news anchors and like the people in important places in like politics, they're coming to you live from their living room with their fireplace in the background. So I think the future of media, like, that's kind of leveled the playing field for everyone else, it feels like. So now we came from this time where, like, only the professionals do media. So only like Kevin does media, and like we'll leave that to him and his digital agency and like other professionals. But now we've kind of seen this change into what I think is the future of media, in that anyone can do media well, and anyone can put on a professional live stream like this show, and it doesn't have to be live content, but anyone can write a blog. Like, it's not only saved for these huge media conglomerates. And so I think the future of media is kind of like in your own phone, in your own hands.
I like that.
I agree 100%.
If I can catch from the tail end of that, I hate to use the word, but I can't think of a better word. a lot of celebrities and what we know as premium or TV shows, movies have sort of been cheapened. It feels cheapened or downgraded because of this whole pandemic. Okay, let me try and explain. We all know that digitalization has caused most impact on media, right? Since YouTube, since all this internet and everything, that is not new. That is not new to the pandemic. It has always been happening before the pandemic, right? But there's always this argument of new media taking over traditional media, or both still have their place, etc., etc. However, I think what has changed because of the pandemic is your entire audience have migrated online en masse. They because everyone's online, so everyone goes online. Everything is online. Your advertising spend, everything goes online. And also particularly because of the pandemic, you have cinemas that are shut. And that forced all these studios to release their new movies online instead, right? Mulan, for example, and a lot of other shows, right? Only online. I think Scooby-Doo was one of them. I can't remember what was the other one. So that already is a shift. You never heard of that before. Movies are only released in cinemas. You don't get them online. You get them 3 months later, or somewhere online on some subscription, right? So that has changed, and the future of media really, I think, is where the future where the audience is, and fortunately or unfortunately, the future audience is all online because we got used to that due to this pandemic, and advertisers are flooding their advertising dollars online due to this pandemic. So I don't know about traditional media going ahead. And the point about decentralizing this power is no longer held by celebrities. I mean, you see influencers on Instagram, wherever that is, with millions of followers, sometimes even more than certain celebrities. So how do you explain that? There's really this whole decentralization of glamour and celebrity air and all that all over now. So I like what you said, Dana, about leveling the playing field, because that gives ordinary folks like myself, Kevin, Tim, and Audric a chance to start maybe on the internet at our advanced age. So I think really the future of media is where the consumer is. You know where the consumer is, that's where the money is, that's where the future of media will be. And I think right now it's anyone's guess, and it's up for grabs, which is I think why everyone is trying to jockey for a position in the online space to capture that attention. And if I may add on one more thing, it's also where the content is. Because imagine if everyone is live streaming, it will be the content that wins the game. It's not going to be my face, but it's going to be what I say.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's so many people who looks better than me, all your celebrities and all. Yeah. But the content.
So humble, man. I love it.
You'll be surprised, Charming. So
content
we can
is also
start
where.
a poll.
Yeah, right.
No. No thanks. Yeah. So with this whole level playing field, it's really going to be content and where the consumers are. So that's my take.
Yeah. I'd like to add on to both of you, because I don't disagree with either of you. I think both of you are very much spot on. And I would say, what now has become the most prevalent thing to me, I believe, is your personal brand. I think if you are not branding yourself, you are getting so far behind the 8 ball. And that's not just from like, hey, I want social media attention. Like, that's for job seekers too.
Yes.
Because the reality is there's more job seekers now than ever. That's not going to change. So your personal brand matters now more than ever. Your online presence matters now more than ever, And if I'm an employer, right, for the future of media, what I would like to see is my employees being brand ambassadors and helping further my brand reputation. Right?
Yep.
And I think people are not thinking that far ahead, but they need to. Because the reality is, I think both of what you said is spot on. That's dead on accurate, right? Celebrities, when you actually check out their content on Instagram and stuff, they actually don't produce that great of content when they don't have production teams and all this behind them.
Yeah.
They really don't. So the playing field is really leveled. And what I'm noticing, because, I've been paying attention like TikTok a little bit more, You're seeing people just explode on TikTok with millions of followers who are everyday people. They're not celebrities, but now they are because they got 1 million followers. But they were everyday people less than a year ago. The platform didn't even exist. So, your personal brand, I think right now is everything. And if you're not paying attention to it, based on both of your points, you're getting way behind the 8 ball, because I think both of you are spot on. I think the playing field is level. And I think the reality is, people are going to be looking at their phone for entertainment. And what Jeremy said, whoever's got the audience wins. It's not necessarily, hey, it's ABC anymore. Because again, what we talked about earlier in the episode is ABC or one of these major media stations is not necessarily where it's at. So that's what I would say about the future of media.
Yeah, and it's important. I like that you said it's important for job seekers. Like, it's not just for I have a startup and I want to bring more people to my brand, or I want to grow that brand. But it's for the people that are finding jobs, like being an employee of a company. If you've built a brand for yourself, like the Dana Bentz brand, and you have influence, you're now kind of like an influencer, you're going to be that much more valuable to that employer or that company, because you're going to grow their brand and their user base, or whatever they're selling, you're going to sell those products. So I like that you mentioned that.
Well, that's something that I have a video coming out on YouTube tomorrow where I talk about employers embracing having somebody who has a social media following. Because the reality is, if you embrace that employee, they bring something to your brand. But if you discourage them and you're an employer and you're like, oh, don't post this and don't post that, well, what incentive do they have to continue to be a brand ambassador for you? So, I think that's something that people really, as employers, they need to loosen up a little bit. Yes, you can check in on the content because you don't want somebody bringing a bad reputation to your brand. But if somebody's putting positive content out there and has a 20K or 30K following and is growing, you should be encouraging them and supporting them, and maybe even throwing a little advertising dollars behind them. That's my 2 cents on it.
I think too, the future of media is raw. It's authentic. I think more and more, especially as you see the new generations come in, right? Gen Zs and my kids who's gone through the pandemic, who's been introduced to these tools at 5 years old, watching mom and dad do live shows.
Yeah.
I think that's the future of media. It's all going to come natural to them. I'm catching myself now, I'm not as interested in even TV shows because it's not real to me. Yeah. I catch myself watching live streams and listening to podcasts, because it's raw, it's real, it's not scripted. And I think the future of media is more forgiving. And Dana, you're in marketing, so you understand this. Back in the days, people will go crazy on you if you misspell something or if there's a grammar mistake on social media. But nowadays, people are okay. You have guys like Gary Vaynerchuk that spell really simple words wrong. And it's okay. No one cares. Yeah. And people are starting to finally be educated and understand. When you put out content 2-3 times every day, there's going to be grammar mistakes. There are going to be, problems with the sentence you put out, because it's just like writing multiple books. So I think you have a new kind of audience that understand how media is supposed to be, and they're okay that things aren't well produced. Not everything's professional, but they're looking for authenticity. I think the younger generation, that they're hungry for that. They're tired of a bunch of talking heads, that aren't, and that's why you got these people in business that are sharing their biggest struggles, that are crying on LinkedIn or talking religion and politics. And those are the people that are blowing up because people are tired of fake. And I always tell people, I consult a lot of clients on digital marketing and social media. So everyone goes, I don't like Facebook, or I don't like this certain social media channel. But at the end of the day, social media is what I call is a mirror. That's all it is. It exposes who we are as humans. Facebook didn't put content for you.
Right.
It's the people putting content up there that makes up Facebook platform. I can't say I hate StreamYard because of the live shows I'm seeing all over.
Yeah.
StreamYard's the tool for Kevin Kwok to produce the show so that Eldrick and Tim and Jeremy can go on there. But why is it StreamYard's fault? You just gave me a little container, a frame, and it's the image I'm deciding to put on there. So stop blaming the platforms.
Well,
TikTok's no, and not YouTube, but I mean, just like TikTok, you know, is the tools are utilized to just happens. People are dancing on there, you know, having fun. So it became TikTok, you know, and so I think it really we're the people that make it what it is, right? So just look at LinkedIn. Think about how LinkedIn was 10 years ago.
Was LinkedIn even around 10 years ago?
It was, you know.
It didn't feel that way, right?
It feels so
It didn't
new.
feel that way.
Yeah. And no one even knew about them. No one even cared about them.
Yeah.
And look at LinkedIn now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, to be fair, it's a culture thing too. Like on the social media platforms, it's a culture thing. Like Facebook culture has devolved into what it is. You know, it wasn't always that way. You know.
Yep.
So I mean, it's a culture thing too. It's the platform itself. You're right. You can't blame the platform for the content you see on Facebook, but the culture itself gets devolved, and then eventually some people like myself. I was never big into Facebook, but the little bit I jumped off because I didn't like the culture.
Yeah.
So that you can't blame the platform, but the platform gets its identity from the people. Exactly right, Pat.
That's true.
Right.
But it's a culture thing. The culture of the platform is what ends up defining the platform. So Facebook's culture could end up being the death of it, because I know, as you're saying, Gen Z and the newer generation is not into Facebook at all, with good reason, because I can't stand shit either.
But all I'm saying is, I think it's the future of media is just, I think the next generation is more prone to, how social media works. They're very educated in these platforms. They understand how to win attention, and they know how to utilize these platforms for attention, So I think it does level the playing field, like you said, Jeremy and Dana, for celebrities, I mean, they're going live and just being raw. And music videos are raw now, and people love it.
Yeah, they're so drawn to it because it makes the celebrities feel like you're in their living room, like you're that much closer to them. And I think that's why live streaming has just blown up, is because people, just like you said, people are craving that raw, we're all here, this isn't a pre-recorded edited video, we didn't make it fancy. Well, it's a pretty fancy video, but all of us, if we mess up on the show, it's no one cares, it's fine. So people are so much more forgiving, like you said, and that's why live streaming is just caught on.
Eldrick?
Hear Eldrick's view.
We haven't had Eldrick's view.
I think future of media, right? How many hours do we have? Now, okay. I think there are several key points that was being brought up, and I kind of like them, but I just want to bring in some context. I think where we look at media today, we really can put participants into two camps: the consumers, the content consumers, and the producers. Where the playing field has been leveled is for the producers. So this is what I think. I grew up in the age where people produce CDs, music videos. We watch TVs, production houses. So all these, they are not readily available to everyone at home or man on the street. It's pretty much there's a monopoly to that. So there's a monopoly to the production, to the distribution, as well as the platforms. So today, where the technology platforms are going, it actually liberalizes our ability to be a content producer compared to the artists compared to the movie distribution houses or Hollywood or Bollywood. We can do the same thing. Of course, budget is a constraint, right? That's something different. But we can do, and we can continue to entertain or educate the way that they have done. I think that is the level that we are talking about when it comes to the playing field of media. Where it comes to the content consumers, I think where the future is, more and more people are just going to start realizing that, hey, I can produce too.
Yeah.
And I think we are experiencing that today, although it's not a huge adoption. So I think many people look at their phones and think that it's a phone. But effectively, the phone can be a computer now. I can live one day without my laptop. I can continue to do what I need to do with my phone. So I can do my live stream. I can do my digital marketing campaigns. I can connect with my colleagues or even people across various time zones. One phone does the trick. So that's the thing. And just to tie the future of media to the various legs of education, the way I see it, I think schools, physical schools will still exist. But what kind of education are we talking about? What kind of education are we talking about? If it's about passing on knowledge in the form of languages, humanities, mathematics, and things like that, I guarantee is going to go digital. And it can be done. So you can have teachers doing pre-recorded sessions and then allowing kids to stream online on demand at home, and then using a live stream to clarify questions. So like now, like we can have all the kids here, and then one teacher just, okay, this is the homework question one. Who has any issue with that? Let's clarify. So that's possible. Where the physical school will still be possible, relevant. Sports. You need a physical compound.
Yeah.
Science laboratories. You need to do the things in school, right? Where it's safe. You're not going to do your chemistry experiment at home and blow up the garage, right?
Bunsen burner and my table.
Seriously, I don't think so. So when we say that there's a future in the media, in the way we move, as well as education, what kind of education are we talking about? And textbooks, I think those are going to change. You can use Amazon Kindle, and you can download all your textbooks into one book, and that's it. And then you relieve the problem of young kids carrying like physical load on their shoulders, right? Because a lot of people are saying that that's preventing them from having an upright posture. So
they were so expensive, Eldrick. I dreaded buying my college books, man. It was like $300-$400.
Right.
So I think that to me, the future of media, the future of education, the future of where we are looking at for this decade and beyond, really is just one theme, and that is unlocking potential at the individual level. There's so much power that we have now, but we haven't really got to the point where everyone realizes that, hey, we can harness that.
Yeah.
And Dana, while we have you on the show, I have my personal question that I would love for our audience to hear from you. I think a lot of people don't understand the difference between live streaming and when they do something on Zoom, which a lot of people tout that it is live when it's not live. So can you explain the difference between like utilizing StreamYard and when you're actually going live versus like the pre-recorded stuff that people call live?
Yep.
Because I see that a lot. People are like, oh, come to my live show, and it's not live.
Right.
You know? So, and I think there needs to be clarity because people don't understand like platforms like yours, you know, what separates it, right? So.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And it is something I think that people get mixed up or they don't really understand. So, well, it's really the difference between like the here and now, like this show, like we're live, like all of us are chatting and we're all in our different time zones. This hasn't been edited. Like this is happening in real time and the audience gets to see it real time and they get to interact with us real time. Like you're showing all these comments on screen and we have a great audience that's asking great questions tonight. Or this morning for those of you who it's tomorrow. But you can also fake a live stream by just putting pre-recorded as a live video. So what that means is like you can use a lot of platforms to do this, but you can use Zoom and you can play a video on Facebook or on wherever on YouTube, and it says it's live and it says streaming live. But it's really you edited that video and now you're just streaming that video as live. So the difference is it happening, like did the video happen right now? Like we're creating this video right now as we speak, and that's like a true live. But then you can also make a pre-recorded video look like it's streaming live, but there can't be any audience interaction because like you pre-recorded that, so there's no way to chat with your audience. There's no way to say, hey, thanks for tuning in and show people's comments on screen when it's when it's pre-recorded.
That's great.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
I think what I'm seeing from a lot of the lives, which is cool, is like you just said, it's the audience participation is really the big thing. Like if you're doing a live stream and you have 50, 60 people in there, those people feel connected to you. It's not the same as streaming something that is pre-recorded. Hey, I'm putting on my makeup right now, but it's not it's not actually happening. You know, if somebody was to be like, hey, Tim, you suck, I could be like, hey, you suck back. It's perfect. No, it's different.
Right. So, it's so much different. And the audience knows it too. Like they're so much more, they want to be engaged with you because it's live and they know you'll chat back at them or you'll talk at them when they leave a little comment. So then there's that much more, like they want to comment that much more.
Yeah. So it's huge.
That's awesome. Yeah. And here's my last question for the night, right? What do you think the world will look like when this is all over?
What do you mean by
or
this?
will it be over, right?
What do you mean by this?
So,
well, we're talking about COVID, I'm sure.
Yep.
So I'll go on this one. What I would say is there's two things, right? I think the shift to this digital and lives, I don't think that's going away. I think one thing I'll tell you is the clubs and everything are going to be popping off once COVID.
The bars.
It's gonna be bananas when people can actually go and not have to worry about social distancing, right?
Tim, are you getting your DJ business ready?
I emceed a wedding last Friday. It was fun, and it was, awesome. It was social distancing wasn't happening exactly. But it was enough of it. Like, it wasn't that hateful. Plus, thankfully, knock on wood, PA has not been bad from a COVID perspective. So that's nice. But anyway, yeah. So I do think, your live events will be popping off. Music festivals are going to go crazy. It's going to be hard to get into those. But at the same time, I also think the shift to digital is going to stay. Live streams are going to stay. These social media platforms that have become very relevant, they might lose some of their luster, but they're still here to stay. So I think a lot of the things you're seeing, people working from home, there's going to be a lot of that, like you said, Kev. People saying, forget the office, let's just figure this work from home thing out. So I think the key points you're going to see that are going to be staying, work from home is going to be a big thing. Live streams are going to be a big thing. Social media is going to be a big thing. And this leveled playing field for creators is also, I think, here to stay. And like I said, the things that will change is people are going to want to go back to football events, music festivals, things that they can go and see and it's different experience live. They will be going back to that heavy when they can.
If I can go next, I don't know. It's a big question because we do not know how long this is going to be over, and it could be near term, it could be long term, it could be generations. We do not know that. But one thing's for sure, this whole thing has turned a lot of things upside down. For one, we now realize that shopping can be can be distinguished between essentials and non-essentials. Right? We never had that distinction. We never had that distinction, right? We never. And suddenly, if you recall, especially relevant in Singapore, when you write in your essay what you want to be in the future, I want to be a pilot, I want to be an air stewardess, Singapore Airlines girls. All that's gonna change now, right? Based on what's happened, your dreams change, right? And I like this particular meme, about the education system. On the top there's a picture about a teacher saying, "What, a YouTuber? That's not a career. Get a real job. And now teachers are YouTubers. I mean, come on, that was so hilarious, right? And my point is that everything's just turned upside down. We are starting to reconsider and rethink so many things, right? Like for myself, marketing is changed completely. I used to be most happy organizing events at hotels, exhibitions, real life interaction, physical booth space. Everything's digital now, right? Yep. You got probably little to no budget. You have to be big on your content. You do webinars. We're talking about digital virtual exhibitions that are going to be there forever. But everything is digital. What other examples do you have? Apart from that, traveling is going to be a big question, right? Because once this is over, are we going back to, I'll fly to your office, Kevin, and meet you? Or, no, thank you. Why are we incurring the expense from a financial CFO perspective? Why are you incurring this expense to fly there when you have been doing Zoom the past 10 years, for example, the past 6 months? Why do you have to go in front of a customer now, right? That's one school. The other school of thought will be, oh, Mr. CEO of our company is flying everywhere because we need to be in front of our customers now, because now that this is over, we need to get that relationship back. So let's fly all over the place. Two schools of thoughts. What's it going to be? Where is it going to balance out? I don't know. We don't know. But if I could round this up personally, I hope things go back to old normal. I mean, really, I just feel that, that's going to be best for everyone. And we just want to forget about this whole, 2020 never existed and all this, just, pack it up and ship it somewhere, close in a box. Wipe it out from our memories.
Where are we shipping it?
Yeah.
Which
to 2019. Let's ship it there.
Ship it to Mars or something, right? Yeah. So I just wish. Perhaps. So I think maybe I speak for most people. I don't know, maybe of my age or whatever. It's really just want to forget about this, and then everything just snap. Like what you call that in Avengers, right? The blip, just snap, everything disappeared, and then everyone came back and they forgot about that 5 years. Yeah, everyone forgot about the 5 years or whatever, how long it takes, and then we go back to normal because that's what we're used to. However, if this thing stretches, like way after we're all gone, then the old normal becomes the new normal for the guys who have survived this. Then it's adjustment again. I mean, think about that, right? Let's talk about time spectrum, because Aldrich mentioned, when is this going to be? So I don't know. It's just a huge question. I think too much sometimes, but just sharing all the different angles and aspects, that you could consider.
If this pandemic takes 10 years plus, if it takes 3 months plus, that's going to be a nightmare. Like, I haven't even thought, like, I think about, like, it'll probably be a little while till we can kind of get a little bit back to a little whatever was normal before. But when I think about, like, oh my God, are we going to be in the same, am I going to be still working from home in 2022? That's so scary. Like, that's so scary to think about. And I liked that the title of this video was, I think in the description was 2020 is almost over, like within 3 months or something.
It is.
And that was the first time I had thought about, like, oh my God, like 2020 is almost over. And it's been a crazy year for everyone. It's been a crazy year for the entire world. But it made me feel good that it's almost over and we're almost into this next year. But then it makes you think about, well, I guess that's the question, is what is going to be normal? What's going to be the new normal? And I kind of think this, everything, the lockdown, now we've got fires here on the West Coast. We had Black Lives Matter a few months ago, and it's still a big deal here. I think the future, like, I think there's so many people who don't want to go back to the old normal, like you were saying, Jeremy, about how you like, there's a lot of things that you like about working from home. There's some things that you miss, but there's a lot of things that you do like. And Julia says, I think luxury and experience will be more in demand. Yeah. Yep. That's interesting, because now people are saving more money from being stuck at home, and you've got nothing to spend your money on. And experiences.
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends.
It depends.
Because you have your FOMOs and your JOMOs, right? The fear of missing outs and the joy of missing outs. Because suddenly we realize we don't need to take that one. Yeah, we suddenly realize we do not need to take that once a year vacation. Not we're not going anywhere.
Finally.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
But then there's also, like Julia said, experiences. Like we've I don't know if we've just had enough time to reflect on, like, material things aren't that important. Like, I have no one to show off my fancy car to in lockdown. So it's like experiences are what I want to spend my money on. I think that's so true.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this though. People are finding ways to spend money because Amazon sure is thriving.
That's a good point. Good point.
So we're talking about luxury experiences. So this is becoming very popular in the U.S. Have you guys heard of glamping?
Oh,
No,
yes.
not me.
It's been a while in Asia, actually, Korea, places like that.
Yeah, so it's huge in the U.S. and it's more popular than ever after the pandemic. And Jen and I was looking for something to do with our kids, and we're looking at these glamping stuff, and some of them are like high end, like literally there's like marble showers outside, complete privacy. These tents are air conditioned, so the whole thing is like air conditioned tents, and you have like queen size bed, Ralph Lauren sheets, and everything.
Oh my gosh! So how is this not a hotel?
Because it's out in the open. It's out nearest to nature.
Gosh.
Yep.
Yeah,
but the pricing is hotel prices. So that's the sad part. So I decided to shut it down.
Just Kevin, shoot it down by saying there are mosquitoes.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
That's funny.
But isn't it crazy? Like, I feel like the way we travel is different. Like, so my neighbor is an RV consultant, and he was telling me like RVs are selling like crazy because for the longest time they had RVs just sitting there, and he consults dealerships that sells RVs, and he said it's going to skyrocket because families are just buying up luxury RVs.
That makes sense. That makes sense. You know, and a friend of mine is she's been wanting to put a pool in her house or in her backyard for the longest time. And she said she met with the pool specialist and they were like, we've never sold this many pools. Like we're sold out for like the next couple of months. And I'm thinking to myself, what? But the pool specialist guy said that everyone is stuck at home and they're trying to like make the best of their home living. So people are putting in pools.
Smart.
It's crazy.
And I do think, the way we live, I think, depending on the direction, right, with the pandemic and where it goes, I think humans, we adapt. If you think about it, it's the Spanish flu. You know, I was talking to Jennifer's great grandmother or grandmother, and she was sharing with us how, you know, they lived through it. And then afterwards, you know, the war happened. So a lot of these folks that lived through the Spanish flu, it was one thing after the other, and it became like years, you know, and they survived, right? And they were okay. So
did you hear the dead silence though when you said war? Like everybody was like, no more effing bad news, please. No
but
more.
I think, wasn't it the Spanish flu, and then what happened was the World War I happened, right? Right?
Yeah.
Like
I
not too
think
long
so.
after that.
I just can't
Yes.
take anymore, man. I just need this to be done. Like,
Yep.
finito.
You still have to go through the elections.
Please.
Oh,
Aldrich, bring me something
we'll
positive.
save that for another show.
Yeah, we can save that for another show. Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Aldrich.
Yeah. So where do we go from here? I think it's at this point in time it's very difficult to say, but I look for indicators. I think it was just U.S. time zones today. The chairman of Federal Reserve has just made a statement that he's going to keep interest rates until 2023. So that's an indication to me. Like, okay, what that means is that this level of economic activity is going to be like this in years to come. So that's how I look at intermediate term. And then what's next? I think it's October or November. Shark Tank season 12 is gonna come. I'm very very excited to see that because okay. So before I continue, I'm not a socialist or Republican or whatsoever. So that aside, I believe in capitalism. So I think there's gonna be a lot of creative entrepreneurs that has gone through this period who's going to come up with very innovative products and services. And that will be a very good way to look at like, okay, so what's Mark Cuban investing in? What's Kevin O'Leary investing in? What kind of deals that's filtering in, right? Even for myself, when I get, I think Tim, you'll be very interested to know this. When I get like deal papers coming across, now we were expecting a transition from social media golden age to live stream and then AR and VR. But now we have a hijack. I'm seeing this now. We have a hijack. And the hijack is robotics. That there are entrepreneurs who's trying to do financing for a robotics leasing to companies. So I was thinking about, okay, that's very, very interesting because if you can see robotics in play in manufacturing, there's no one says that we can't put robots in the office. No one says that. So what's going to happen if this goes mainstream? Because the proposition now is an easy sell.
Terminator.
Yeah, like robotic in office, while they require maintenance, they do not require social distancing. They're not worried about getting infected or vaccines. So if this takes off, it's going to be a hijack for this decade, I think, personally. Then we can start lining up the dominoes and we can start pushing them, right? So as more and more robots start infiltrating into the office, let's say we start off with administrative tasks because it's easy to feed the algorithm, right? Because let's say tax compliance, I feed you the tax code and the robot can do something for you and tell you, okay, so this is your deferred tax, this is your tax savings for this year, and this is your tax report for that year, let's say. And if that stays, what's going to happen to the administrative function, the support function, and things like that? So I hope we are not going into a full-scale, tax the robot scheme, right? Because there's no longer anyone working in office and the robots have to be taxed. But there's going to be a lot of interesting developments now. That's the way I see it. Probably 6 months ago, what's hot? Plant-based diet is hot. Data centers are hot. And tech platforms are hot. Now we're talking about robotics. Now we're talking about multi-use real estate. So forget about commercial, forget about retail. We just have a space. What can we do with it? Yeah. So experience retail. So now these are the things that are hot. Are they going to stay? I don't know. But if I look to the guidance that's been provided by Federal Reserve in the US and then trickle down to the world, it's probably going to look like this in the next couple of years. And as we know, behaviors are sticky. And the moment it sticks, it will be a new equilibrium. I won't say normal. I don't think it's going to be normal. It's a new equilibrium. My view.
But can I just say something? Yeah. One thing.
Yeah.
One thing's for sure. One thing's for sure. No robot's gonna do a show like us.
Real people
That's
talking
the
about real life
truth.
stuff.
That's the truth.
That's
No,
true.
but again, I mean, now again, this just goes right back to everything. It kind of sums up the whole thing we were talking about, right? And again, goes back to a personal brand. What separates you? What makes you valuable? So, you know, if you don't have that, if you can be replaced by a robot, like Aldrich was talking about, then what? Where do you go from there? You know what I mean? Like, you have to start thinking about actually the option of self-employment in some form. Because if your position just becomes eliminated, then what? You know?
Yeah, I think
you got to think about this kind of stuff.
I think robots aren't exactly a bad thing because it makes us really be more creative, be more human. Because suddenly we need to think about, oh, am I going to take that job to be an administrative person or something like that? You start to innovate and think about, you know, I don't want the job that a robot can replace. And that's where the human spirit and the human creativity will come out. So it might not be a bad thing after all.
Love it. Love it, Jeremy.
And I think that's one of the key things. I think the human mind cannot be duplicated because of the emotional aspect, right?
Yeah.
You know,
And
I
relationships.
think the relationships, and I think that's where you need to invest in today, right? I mean, we see it in the social media digital world, right? Everyone try to utilize bots, automation, MarTech solutions, and you hear all these words, and you know, but nothing can replace relationships. Like I get to meet Dana, who, you know, we started utilizing StreamYard because we got connected on LinkedIn, you know, and now I get to see her face to face. I feel like, hey, I'm comfortable in reaching out to her. I know what she's about. I don't think that's going to be replaced, right? And that's the great thing. And before we end tonight, Dana, tell us how people can follow you. Tell us once more about StreamYard for people that are on now.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I put my little tag here at Real Dana Bentz. So you can follow me on Twitter. I think that's my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And then my YouTube channel is just youtube.com/Dana Bentz. And I go live twice a week. Well, I go live more than that when I'm on people's shows. I think I'm going live 4 or 5 times this week, which is like so much fun. But for those of you who are just tuning in, StreamYard is what this show is being produced with. It's the tool that Kevin's using to go live. So it's just a live streaming tool in your browser. So you don't have to download anything. It's really easy to use to put together a professional live stream. So you can follow me here and you can sign up for StreamYard at StreamYard.com.
Hey,
Awesome.
and join us for episode 28 next week. We could talk about morning routines and habits that some of you may have. So join us next week, same time, Wednesday night or your morning at 9 a.m. GMT +8, correct? So
Yep, that's correct.
hey, thanks, folks. Thank you, Dana, for being our guest.
Thank you, Dana.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thanks for
Dana.
having me. This was such a fun show.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell the world.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for just being on here. And we had a lot of fun with you guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.